Hi everyone, Justine Leslie here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I help awakened, sensitive, and empathic souls intuitively navigate this crazy world. And today I wanted to talk about indigos, or indigo children, sometimes that they're called. Obviously you can be an indigo adult, right? Because then you grow up to be the indigo adult as an indigo child. But I wanted to kind of talk about what it is to be an indigo from my perspective as a spiritual teacher, and just lay out different characteristics. I actually came up with 5, so I'll go into that with this video now. I just want to take a time out though and say that if you want to see more content like this, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's over here, the subscribe button. I always get the direction in the wrong place, but it's over here. Please subscribe to get more content like this. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that subscribed so far. This is a small channel as of right now, but we just hit 100 subscribers. So I'm very, very grateful for everybody tuning into my videos and subscribing. You guys mean the world to me. This is my life's purpose, and I really, really appreciate it. So thank you. Okay, so let's get into it, guys. So I made notes, as I usually do, because I want to make sure I get everything out there and make sure everything is as clear as it possibly can. So let me go ahead and define indigo. It's not a huge definition. So in my opinion, an indigo is just a type of empath. And you know I talk about empaths a lot, and basically the definition for that, in my perspective again, is that somebody that can feel energy very deeply, right? And also has intuitive gifts. That's the best way I could kind of describe it. We feel a lot for the most part. If I needed to sum that up, we usually are very sensitive people, sensitive souls. And this channel is made for people that encompasses that umbrella. So it's basically just a type of indigo. Because here's the thing, guys. Not all empaths are created equally, which is great, right? Not all empaths are think the same or feel the same and have the same view on certain things, and that's okay. We're not all supposed to be similar in that way, but that definition of always feeling energy very deeply, being very sensitive to energy, as well as having extra intuitive gifts, highly intuitive gifts, is usually the main criteria, right, of being an empath. So being an indigo is a little bit different, right? So, and it's okay to be different, again, but let me go into 5 characteristics to figure out if you could be an indigo empath. Okay, so first things first, bigger picture. So usually if you're an indigo child, indigo adult, I'll just call it indigo right now, is that you can see the bigger picture of things, where it's very, very easy for you, like characteristics for you would be very innovative, and it's very, very hard for you to be more detail oriented. So you're not necessarily about the small details, it's really about the big picture. And the other word I can use to describe this is dreamer. Like you can see how your life can be, or how life should be in that way. You can just see things bigger than other people, because some people are like, having a small mind is not part of being an indigo. You have a big mind and you have big dreams. So this is definitely part of being an indigo, mostly because most indigos are on a mission. And they have a specific purpose that usually comes out during your spiritual awakening. If it doesn't, the word indigo child actually comes from being a child this way. So you may have known from a very young age what your mission on this planet is, which is great. That's amazing. But most of us do go through it with a spiritual awakening, myself included. I do put myself in the category of an indigo, and I'll go over the other characteristics, but this is something that I can relate to as well, is that I could really see the bigger picture, and it's really hard for me to focus more on the smaller details. But that's good, because we need the dreamers. We need you guys. We need the indigos that do this. And usually you're on a mission. You see how life can be. You see how life should be. And that is really like tunnel vision for you. So it's great that you're making change. You're the change maker. And you can see everything laid out right in front of you, which, by the way, comes in handy when we want to manifest things, right? Because when we can see the bigger picture and we can actually see what is possible, we can create it, right? Because we have free will, and the universe doesn't give us a mission if we cannot complete it, right? It doesn't make any sense. The universe doesn't have time for that, right? Okay, so I already kind of mentioned this a little bit for the second one. So the second one is change maker. You are the change maker. If you're an indigo, you're a change maker. So change is imperative for you. You're here to break cycles. You're here to move the needle on certain things. You're not here to just accept the way that things are supposed to be. Now, let's not get this confused with accepting and surrendering, right? Because we can create our own suffering, right? This is a little bit of Buddhism in here. We can create our own suffering by not choosing to accept the way that things are. But that comes very, very difficult to an indigo. Very difficult. And they are not, they do not accept how things are, especially if things are not good. And usually they're not, right? Earth is not perfect. There are lots of things that really need changing. And the indigo is part of that. So they are not somebody to just let it go. Because a lot of times when people go through awakenings, they unlearn things, they heal things, then they empower themselves, and then they move on with their lives. That's not an indigo. And an indigo will unlearn and then be like, why hasn't this changed? Like, I can't go back to how things were. And they become very, very aggressive in that way, but in a good way. Maybe we can use more of the word assertive, but basically they are the change makers. They are not letting things just be. They must be part of the change. That is part of the mission usually, right? Okay, so number 3. So this is sometimes really tough when you are a child, indigo child, and this is how you can kind of recognize it when someone is little. If you have children in your lives, this is one way to tell. So they see the world differently at a very early age. Even though I had my spiritual awakening when I was 27, I always saw things very differently, but I never really spoke about it, or I never really acted out. And that was because I was suppressed at the time and I didn't have like a really good childhood and that kind of thing. But if you have an expressive child and they're talking about seeing the world differently and asking questions about why there are homeless people on the street, and they're very, very aware of their surroundings and they're understanding, they're confused because they're like, why is things like this? This is not right. Like, something within them is making them question everything and really saying like, okay, this doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel like the way that Earth and life should be, and how humans should live. So they are very, very conscious of that at a very, very young age, which is a really great thing, right? Okay, number 4. This is one of my favorites because I noticed this doesn't happen with a lot of empaths, is that indigos are connected really deeply to the truth. Now, what do I mean by truth? I'm talking universal truth, right? So I'm talking about our universal laws, law of attraction, free will, that kind of thing. But it's also about the ultimate truth, which is that we are love, right? So we bring love into it. So basically, the ultimate truth is this fear or is this love? And if we can ask that question with everything, it's super relevant. And we use that as the basis of our truth. So we're very, very, very connected to that. Because indigos are connected to that, they use it kind of as a compass for everything that they get involved with. So, and also they use it as a compass for world issues. So basically what's happening here is, like, for example, a lot of indigos really go into work that involves social justice, like being a lawyer or in social work of some kind, or even politics. But the good kind of politicians are the indigos, not the lying and, you know what kind. I'm talking about the good kind, which there are good kinds. Okay, guys, there are very genuine politicians out there that really go into public service because they really want to see a positive change in the world. So they go into these different professions, but basically they are really connected to the truth, because when they see something happening, they're like, okay, this is not a loving thing that's happening. We can't have such a big wealth gap, for example. We can't have us continuing to ignore global warming, those kinds of things. So they're really, really connected to those issues, especially like on a global level. And it's just not the truth. The truth, the untruths, or anything that is involved with fear or hate. So they can recognize that right away. So they are super, super connected to that truth. Okay. Okay, and the last one. This one is kind of related to the truth, right? Where Yeah, basically. But this last one is that indigos are usually black sheeps of the family. And when I say black sheeps of the family, a black sheep is the person that thinks differently, right? That goes into thinking differently as a child. Um, and obviously as an adult, right? It doesn't go away as you get older, but you become more understanding of why you feel the way that you feel, or why you think differently, right? But you're usually the black sheep. It's usually in a situation where there's um, something going on that they can see that again is untruthful, right? That is fearful or hateful, or abusive. We can go as far to say, and they are just not standing for it. They don't like it. They will challenge you, even as little children. And again, they might be in a situation like I was personally in a situation where I didn't feel, I suppressed a lot of this. I didn't feel like I had a say and all of this stuff. So a lot of indigo children can feel that way, and that's actually why a lot of indigo adults have a lot of emotional issues. They're very suppressed, because they feel like they haven't been heard or seen by their family, which is like a huge thing. So yeah, they're usually the ones like thinking differently and pulling away because they're like, wait, something toxic is here, something abusive is here, something fearful is here, and they're the ones to stand up, even if it's not received, and it's usually not received, right? Because they're called a black sheep because why? Because they don't fit in, because the group think is bigger than them, right? There's more than one of them that think this particular way, and then the black sheep thinks a different way. So it's really, really tough, and it can be really emotional for a lot of people because your family is supposed to be the people that are supposed to get you, and that's not always the case, and a lot of indigos really have to learn that lesson, and it's a hard lesson to learn for sure. Okay, so those were the 5 that I put together. So basically, the way I can kind of sum this up is that they are the rebels of the spiritual community. Indigos are the rebels of the spiritual community. They do not accept things that they feel are untruthful. They do not accept things for what they are. They're the change makers. They are the ones that are, and sometimes I hear them being called universal empaths. I've heard that before, where they feel really connected on a global level with everybody, right? We're all one, right? And I feel like all empaths can really understand that on a very, very deep level, but globally, the most indigos really get affected. It's really about the planet as a whole and how we're living it, and that really makes them want to change things. They're not okay with accepting things for how they are, and it could get a little frustrating because that's where righteousness comes in, and that's a whole emotion on its own that I can do another video about. But sometimes it could be a little much. It could be a little exhausting, I feel, as an indigo. So but again, doing it lovingly is great. That's where righteousness is positive, right? If we're doing it in a loving way. But yeah, these indigos are really, we're here to make the change, and it's really an honor to be an indigo. It's tough to be an indigo, but it's totally worth it. And if this stuff resonates with you, I just want to say thank you for your work, because I'm sure you've already tried to instill some change in your life in some way. So yeah, kudos to you on that. So yeah, I wonder if this resonates with you guys. I wonder if there's any indigos watching. So please comment below if this resonates, or if you have any questions or comments. I love interacting with you guys in the comments. So go ahead and do that, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.